it enriches the existing Predator lore and expands upon it while also setting up some interesting things for the future of the franchise, which we're going to quickly see, later this year. And I imagine for many, many years long after, which I think is great. So the Predator franchise has been kind of going through a revitalization as of late, thanks to Dan Trachtenberg with Prey and the things that they've been kind of building up to, especially with Predator Badlands coming out later this year. But even before touching on this movie and, touching on the future, the hopefully positive future of Predator, I did want to kind of just share my overall thoughts on the Predator franchise. I mean, the original film from the 1980s is just one of my favorite sci-fi action movies of all time. Of course, directed by John McTiernan, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers, Jesse Ventura, a host of recognizable actors of the time still working to this day. A movie that had a production that was such a mess. So many different ideas at the time, but somehow it worked out. And we got that movie, and we got the Predator, which is one of the great modern American monsters in my opinion. It's a fantastic film. And it's a movie that I always can go back and watch and enjoy myself. Just has that rewatchability. So much fun. So quotable. Stick around, all that. And then you got Predator 2, which came out in the early 90s, and not as good as the first Predator, but still a fun movie. I thought, Danny Glover did a great job. I love the change of the setting. We're not in the jungle of Central America. We're in this kind of near dystopian Los Angeles set in the late 80s. I thought that was cool. But yeah, the writing wasn't as good as the first film. But it's still some interesting ideas. And then we have Predators, which I think is one of the most underrated entries in the franchise, which took, the place off-world, introducing us to the whole menagerie of characters from all different walks of life, the greatest warriors that the Predators could collect, put in a world, and then obviously hunt for their, at their leisure. And then, of course, yes, and before that movie, we obviously had the AVP films. And listen, Alien vs. Predator, it's not a good movie, but it's dumb and it's fun. It's like a WWE match involving two iconic monsters. Predator, of course, and Alien. It knows what it is, and it absolutely could have been better. No question about that. But it's certainly better than Alien vs. Predator Requiem, which honestly is the worst of either franchise, of both Alien and Predator. Just a wretched movie all around. But in terms of the worst standalone Predator film that does not involve the Alien, I would say is The Predator, which on paper looked like it was going to be a blast. You bring in Shane Black, who, was credited. He was one of the original actors in the first Predator movie, punched up the script while they were working on the film. It's like, oh, Shane Black. And, of course, he already established himself as a filmmaker and, writer, writing stuff like, Lethal Weapon and all sorts of films. Nice guys, obviously. Some, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, of course. And I was like, oh, he's going to do a Predator movie? Perfect. And it's the worst one. Just because the whole production was a mess. So many things were changed. A lot of the Shane Black isms just didn't work. The sense of humor didn't work. But it also made a huge mistake in that it changed the lore of the Predators themselves, not in a positive way. Even though we've been led to believe for all these years, these decades, that this is the Yauta that we commonly refer to as the Predators. They're this society of galactic hunters. They literally hunt the most dangerous, prey. It's like a part of that's their culture. It's like, no. Shane Black's like, nah, that's not the reason. The reason why they hunt is because they want autism, and they actually are hunting people who have the most autism so they can get the autism and inject themselves of autism to become more powerful and more autistic. It was during that era, which it's always seeming like it's on the verge of coming back again, of like autism is a superpower, right? And it did that, and it kind of killed the franchise for a bit. At the very least, it put maybe not killed, but it put the franchise on ice. And Fox is like, we know what the fuck to do with this.
5 minutes later.
What was I talking about? Oh, yeah, the Predator franchise. Well, again, chat, I'll reiterate briefly. We had the Predator come out a couple years ago. Terrible film. Put the franchise on ice. However, Dan Trachtenberg, he came in there with a great idea with Prey. And taking the Predator franchise back to basics. Single Predator hunting a whole group of people. Except this time, It was, taking place hundreds of years ago, on the North American continent where you had Native Americans and fur trappers and things like going up against the Predator. And it was really good. Amber Midthunder was fantastic as her character. It course corrected the series, in my opinion. And ever since then, it just seems like Dan Trachtenberg is now the shepherd of this franchise, if you will. Obviously, we have Predator Badlands. That's coming out in the next couple of months. Very excited about it. Finally getting the Predator as like the hero, which will be interesting to see. But then, of course, it was announced that they were going to be doing an animated anthology film. And it came as a pleasant surprise just because, one, I think that's a really smart thing to do. To expand the franchise, set it in different mediums in an animated, format. I think it's really cool, and also explore different eras of the Predator's interactions with humanity on Earth, and that's what we have with Predator, killer of killers. Under the hand of the watchful, eye of Trachtenberg and his collaborators, his partners. And I'll tell you right now, chat, Predator Killer of Killers is absolutely fantastic. I'm actually a little surprised by how great it is. I mean, I was already going in thinking like, oh, this is going to be really fun, really cool, just, great to see the Predator in different time periods. But no, it's legitimately great. I had the biggest smile on my face watching this movie, not only because it's well animated, and features great action choreography. The action is fantastic in this. And you're able to do a lot more of, I think, in the animation medium too, that you otherwise be a little more difficult in live action. And also provides us with new, compelling characters to the series. But it does the thing that the opposite of what the Predator did. And some of the lesser entries in the series, like, the AVP films. It enriches the existing Predator lore and expands upon it, while also setting up some interesting things for the future of the franchise, which we're going to quickly see later this year, and I imagine for many, many years long afterwards, I think is great. As I said, this is co-directed by Dan Trachtenberg. It's also directed by Joshua Wasson, who I'm unfamiliar with as a filmmaker. For all I know, this might be their first movie. And it's written by Miko Robert Ruter. And it essentially explores really 3 different time periods and settings on Earth. And I think each time period explored and all the characters that we come to know are all great in their own way. And they're done in chronological order. Like the first one that we see is this Viking era, kind of Scandinavian Norse warrior of Ursa. She's essentially like leading her son and her play Anders, as she says in the movie, Anders. She does say his name in a similar way that Angelina Jolie says, like, Colin Farrell's Alexander in that movie. And Alexander, the great film from like 2 decades ago, doesn't notice that. But she's essentially leading her raiders, her clan, on this expedition to destroy this Klivich tribe. This guy named Zoran, who murdered her father and murdered many members of her tribe. And of course, they are being stalked and of course pursued by a predator. And one, I'm just a sucker for, as I've said many times, like a winter environment, sci-fi horror winter environment. I think it's really cool. And it's also just really interesting to see a predator having to fight, Norse warriors, Viking, raiders. Like, what does that look like? And they showcase that in the great way. And they also, and you'll see this in really across the series, but it really the most here, like the different eras of Predator technology as well. Like, we see like a whole host of weapons and gadgets and things. And like in the case of this one, like since it's set in like the 800s, even though the Predator technology is far more advanced than anything that's on Earth, the technology the Predator's using is a lot more basic. Like here, he has like a sonic boom cannon, in place of his hand, and that's essentially it. And of course, the ability to turn visible and see, heat signatures and obviously like that. But it's very minimalist. And I thought that was really cool. And again, the animation across the board in this sequence and really all the sequences were so great. Really, really fun. And then we move on to the one which people have been asking for this for years. set in feudal Japan during the 1100s. We're following these two brothers of Kenji and Kiyoshi, or two children of this really nasty warlord who's trying to train his sons to be warriors, but Kenji ends up essentially like running away because the father wants the two brothers to fight each other and kill each other, and whoever's the winner, whoever is my true successor. Just childhood trauma for days, Chad. A lot of childhood trauma in these shorts. And it's years later, and eventually Kenji's like, fuck it, I want to prove that I'm worthy, and that my, I'm better than my brother, and he comes into conflict with his brother. But of course, they're being stalked by a predator. And for everyone that has ever wanted to see, and I guess we do, and obviously in Predators, we see that Yakuza, fight that predator, although it's not for as long as I think a lot of us would have wanted. Here, you see a lot of samurai, shinobi fighting a predator, and it's fantastic. But also, this story, like all the stories, really, it has a lot of heart. And I don't want to spoil too much, but you see the best of the brothers come out when they're faced against this, extraterrestrial threat. And again, we get to see a wonderful showcase of the Predator's abilities, all new pieces of technology it's using, some familiar, but the majority of which is really, really new and fun and clever and nasty. I mean, this one, already was super goopy and gross. And the first one, here you get to see all sorts of ways that the Predator can cut up and skewer and explode people, which I thought was great. And then eventually leads into one that takes place during World War II, and where we're following this car mechanic. This young kid is like in his late teens, maybe early 20s, named Torres. He's drafted into the U.S. Navy as a fighter pilot, and they're out in the Atlantic Ocean. And his squadron is, searching for the enemy fighters, but of course they come across enemy aircraft. And of course we've seen the Predator ships in the movies, and I guess the most we've ever seen of technically is in the Predator, but I don't think it was used rather well. Plus it was just in a shitty film. But here it's interesting to see the Predator technology and their ships and how they hunt people, using their own vehicles. I thought that was absolutely awesome. The character of Torres is a really fun character to follow. And again, I can't really talk about the last quarter of this movie because I think it would give too much away. But all these stories kind of culminate in a really interesting finale that, again, expands on the lore of the Predator and what they do. And what they end up doing with people who managed to defeat a predator, which of course we've seen across the franchise. And it's well, what happens to some of these characters after they defeat a predator? I feel like this movie introduces something that it's okay, this is really cool and kind of scary in a way. And I think we're going to definitely see more of that in the future of the series. If you thought this was kind of like a standalone thing, that's it. It could be. Essentially, it could be. But what we see at the end of this movie, which I will not spoil, I will not say too much about it, it sets up some possibly interesting sequels and scenarios that I would be excited to see either in a direct sequel or in another spin-off movie or something. But as I said at the top, I think the change of medium for the Predator franchise with this movie, it keeps the series itself healthy and just also introduces the series in general to just new viewers, who might be unfamiliar with, the original film, but just offers enough hints at the same time at some familiar things, from the past. It's not obnoxious about it too, I would say, although it brings up an object that fucking object's here again. It's crazy. But it includes, one thing in particular, as I said before, that is setting up something that we'll probably see in the near future. And again, either in a sequel to this movie or something else. But yeah, I was very impressed by it. And already going in, I was anticipating, I was looking forward to it, but it's just really fun. And it's just cool to see, just how does the Predator go up against these different, warriors in the different, settings and eras of humanity, like a Viking warrior or a samurai or a fighter pilot. You can play around with that concept in so many other anthology films or just standalone movies, even live action movies. And I hope they continue to do that, especially with this kind of storytelling and just fun and respectfulness to the original series. So I think Dan Trachtenberg and his people and his collaborators are doing a great job shepherding this franchise right now. I think they're making all the right moves. It makes me very excited to see what's going to be happening in the future for Predator. And we're going to see some of that very, very soon, later this fall with Predator Badlands. But yeah, honestly, I mean, if I had to pick like my favorite of the shorts, I guess I would say it's the samurai one. That was just really cool. I really dug that. And what's also interesting about that short, it's the one that has the least amount of dialogue. I think you only heard it's like one sentence at the beginning of the short, and then you hear like one piece of dialogue or maybe a couple sentences at towards the end. For the most part, it actually kind of reminded me a lot of Jenny Tartakovsky, which I'm thinking like Jenny Tartakovsky would make a great Predator, like, you know, animated feature or series or something like that, or anthology film. I would love for him to get involved. So I actually thought, I was like, is he involved in this? He's not, but it feels inspired by his stuff. But I just love that they were able to tell this really cool story, understand where the characters are coming from, despite the lack of dialogue. So that was probably my favorite. But I think all the shorts are great. How everything kind of culminates at the end, I think, is super fun. Introduces an interesting concept of the franchise that hasn't really been explored before, but still cool and very new. But yeah, overall, I think if you're a longtime Predator fan, if you're a big fan of certainly the original movie and Prey, and even something like, you know, Predator 2 and Predators, I think this is a very worthy addition to the franchise. In how I would rank it, honestly, at this point, and I am fresh off it. I watched it only a few hours ago, but this might be like in the top 3 for me. You know, like, it's hard to beat the original one because it's just such a classic. Prey is great, but this is kind of like neck and neck with Prey, to be completely honest. It's either in the second spot or the third spot. And I hope I'm not overhyping it, overselling it for you guys, but I had a lot of fun with this film. And I think longtime Predator fans will like it. And I also think people who are unfamiliar with the franchise will like it, because it's a great introduction, I think, to this universe, if you will. But yeah, overall, highly recommend Predator, Killer of Killers. But what about you guys? Did you like it as much as I did? Were you more mixed on it? Like, I like this short, didn't care about those other shorts? Or did you just downright hate it? Did you want more Shane Black, the Predator? You want more AVP Requiem? Let me know.
A few moments later.
And a character does get to, I'll tell you right now, a character does get to say Killer of Killers. He does get to say it, I think, twice. He gets to say it twice. I was like, oh, it's not who you'd expect who would say, which I thought was very, very funny. Very, very funny. Let me go ahead and see what you guys are saying. Thank you, Derek Lewis, again for resubscribing. I do appreciate that. Oh, man. Yeah, it's cool. It's like different types of Predators, too. Like, they have all sorts of designs for them. I should have mentioned this at the top. Like, the first Predator we were introduced to in the Viking one, he's, like, super big. He's buff. He's swole as fuck. Really cool, very burly looking. And then in the one that takes place in feudal Japan, he's a little more svelte. He's a little skinnier, but he's more nimble. It's like, that makes sense to going up against like samurai and shinobi. And then like the one that's the pilot, hunting down all these aerial combatants during World War II. He actually reminded me of Christopher Plummer from the sixth Star Trek film. He just had the same exact look. I wonder if that was an inspiration. That was pretty cool. I thought he'd be quoting Shakespeare or something, or the Predator equivalent, the Yauta equivalent of Shakespeare. And then you see some other Predators as well, which looks pretty badass. So we did see, it's not all just like the same prototypical like Predator 1 Predator. It's like all different designs. All have different forms of combat that they prefer, which I thought was really cool. One's like more hand-to-hand, guy's a little sonic boom arm. Other one's all about I got all my gadgets, I got my swords, my sights, my booms. Other one's like, I got my big old ship, and then some other stuff too, which I thought was really cool. Oh, the Predator get me. I'm good. Oh, let's see. Kenji Bishop, the Kenji segment was the best one. That's my favorite too. I really like that one a lot. The Samurai World War II one are your favorites usually? Yeah, good ones. I mean, I like them all. I mean, I didn't think there was like, this one's not good. I really liked them all because they were all different from each other. I didn't feel like I was just watching the same thing over and over again. Predator movie tier list. I actually did a Predator movie tier list way back when Prey came out. Well, I guess Prey came out. Was that 2022? 2022, 2023, around that time, a couple years ago. And I guess I want to do a new one when Predator Badlands comes out. Like, I was considering actually doing like, maybe I can do I can rank the movies. But I was like, Maybe I should wait. I'll wait until Badlands comes out. And then I'll obviously include this one. But this one is like really good. Really, really good. Let's see here. So, yeah, I think I will eventually do a new one. Bishop says, I enjoyed the movie quite a bit, but I feel like the segment stories hurt the film in making it as emotional as it could be just by nature of it being segmented, though it does give you all the Predator action you would want. I don't know if I agree, personally. Because I can't really talk about it, but it culminates in such a way where I think it did have that emotional core, and it did work for me. And again, I don't want to say too much about that, because it's not what was advertised in the trailers at all. And I'll just leave it at that. But I think it did have it. I think it managed to earn it by the end. But that's just how I feel. Too Tall Hard Hands, good to have you here. What's up, Chris Magic Game family? I'm doing well, man. Just talking about Predator Killer of Killers, which is great. It's in my top 3 Predator movies. Hey, Sakar, my top 3 Predator movies. Yeah, I agree. It's a Predator. It looks at camera. A killer of killers. It's not that. You have to watch it. I just finished watching this, by the way. Really good. I enjoyed it. Nice. Yeah, me too. Roman Noodle says, sounds fun. Hell yeah, Huckleberry. It's great. Like Ninja one. The Shinobi one. I do want to know if the Predators ever got all the odds. I mean, that's why I figured, during my audio commentary, which I highly recommend you guys check out. The audio version's up there right now. Video will be up there either later this evening or tomorrow morning. But I thought, it's like, man, the Predators, like, it's just collecting all these people to get all their autism. That's what the heat signature is, Chad. It's not looking at their heat signatures, looking at the level of autism they have. It's got to get them all. Oh, man. But yeah. Yeah, I thought it was great. I highly recommend it. Again, it's crazy that we have, Predator and Alien, which have been, I think, languishing these last couple years. More so Alien. But Predator, which I think has been more consistently good, at the very least, over the last couple of decades. But, certainly hit a fucking wall of The Predator, which completely threw everything off. But yeah, just Trachtenberg knows what. I feel like him and his people just know exactly what they're doing with this franchise and are adding fresh things and fresh perspectives and things that people have wanted for a long time, but not doing it in a super fan servicey way where it kind of feels obnoxious or not earned. It's like here, it's like okay, like yeah, I like what you're showing me, and again, I'm looking forward to Badlands to see, like, we're finally going to see a Predator, and I know we saw a Predator in a bit of a heroic role in AVP, but I have a feeling Badlands will do a little bit better. Personally, I think that's going to be exciting, so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, overall, I thought it was great. Turns out that RFK Jr. is a Predator. I think so, in disguise. That's why he's like, Predators have a hard time copying the human language. It's very difficult. The autism, I must have it all, must inject it. Yeah. Maybe this could lead to a new AVP film. Oh, that's what we're doing. We're going in that direction. I mean, it's obvious. And I have misgivings about that personally. But, I mean, it's happening whether I like it or not. In Predator Badlands, you see Weyland-Yutani paraphernalia everywhere. Like, Elle Fanning's character, she plays an android. She's a Weyland-Yutani android. And it looks like, it takes place during the time period of the Alien movies, by the looks of it. And there's apparently a rumor that Alien Romulus, the sequel, is going to feature a Predator as a character. So there's that. And I wonder if in Alien Earth, which we saw the trailer for yesterday, which looks really good. In the trailer, the line of dialogue that really intrigued me, that stood out to me, was the fact that they brought back 5 different alien species, and it was emphasis on the word different. And we saw some different ones. We saw like a weird kind of like jellyfish squid thing, which I was like, okay, well, I ain't a face hugger. And so I wonder if it's like, is one of the other aliens a predator? A Yauta? It could be. Although I think Noah Hawley has said like his is more separate from what's going on. And he's going to like ignore which I'm very glad he's going to ignore the Ridley Scott prequel movies like Covenant and Prometheus, which I think is very smart. I would ignore those too. That's one of the big mistakes. I think. Listen, Romulus, it has its fans. I'm so mixed on that movie personally. Like just thinking about it, there's things I love about it. I think are great, but its choice to connect itself so tightly to, in my opinion, some of the worst standalone Alien films that are Prometheus, Alien Covenant, was a huge fucking mistake. And that's the weakest aspect of the film. The black goo, you know? And then, of course, you know, the Ash CGI robot, which was a horrible choice as well. But yeah, I think everything is building towards another Alien versus Predator movie. And I'm not the biggest fan of Fede Alvarez. I think he's a good director. I don't think he's a good storyteller or writer. I think he's actually a shit writer. But Dan Trachtenberg is both a good filmmaker, he's a good director, and he's a good writer. And I would have a lot more confidence. I would love to see Dan Trachtenberg direct an Alien movie. I would be through the fucking roof if he would direct the Alien Romulus sequel. I'd be like, all right, that's good. So I hope he has a lot of creative control over at least this segment of this franchise, and has a lot of creative control over the Alien vs. Predator movie that they're obviously building towards. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see. I would hate to have Fede Alvarez direct that movie, but I don't know. Let's see. I would feel better if Dan Trachtenberg directing instead of Fede Alvarez. 100%. Yeah. I'm not getting myself like super excited overhyped for that Alien Romulus sequel. I'm just like, no, because I got myself like, oh fuck, he's doing it, and then, you know. Again, Alien Romulus, to me, it's the third best Alien movie, but it's a distant third. Like, again, my Alien's like one of probably my favorite movie of all time. It's Aliens, just right underneath it. It's great, and then Alien Romulus is all the way down here, and then you have everything else. So, we'll see. Hoping for the best. But yeah, that was great, chat. That was great.